I was hyped when I saw this. I looked for a replay. I couldn't find anyone who covered it. I can't believe it as well because these two players have phenomenally similar styles. So it's sure to deliver, and it's already shown they have similar styles because they're both playing the exact same Civ already for game one. Let's get underway. So here we go. Here on Dry Arabia. So remember, this is round one of Golden League. So it's the open map format. So you got Dry Arabia, Lipany, and my mind has gone blank. I know there's one I'm forgetting in there. Altai, I believe it is the free maps that you can play in. So you always open up on Dry Arabia, and then the loser chooses map 2. But it's interesting they've opened up both playing Mongols. I remember PuppyPaw when he first started to show up on the leaderboards. This actually was the Civ choice that he loved so much, and he was really good at exploiting it for quick victories. Like, it was a little bit cheesy doing these outpost rushes back then, but I understood what he was doing. PuppyPaw just wanted to get to the top of the leaderboards to really grind it out against the best. So he just essentially played a numbers game, and he would basically go for these 10, 15-minute finishes one way or another all the time, as China, as the Mongols, whatever it be. Meanwhile, B himself, to mention the B, this dude has some weird, funky builds. No matter what he's playing, he's always looking to innovate. And it's why it's always exciting to catch him live, especially in a matchup against a player who has these funky builds of his own. First thing we're going to look at straight away, because it is a mirror matchup, is where the Uvus lie. And they are somewhat similar, but B definitely got a better side to this. His gold is slightly suboptimal compared to the wood, but it's close enough that he should not need to build a Gur, which is really good because remember, Gurs cost 100 wood. They are incredibly pricey early on, especially when you want the pastures to open up with, which is what B is already doing. And PuppyPaw, look at this. Instant mirror. The timing's even adding up similarly. That's impressive to open up with. The gold wood, everything. Like, I like this. Overall, this is fairly balanced between the two. I don't feel like anyone got necessarily scammed on their initial spawns. There is some deviation when we look beyond that. Like, I think to open up with, even. Once you start thinking about mid-game and you have to create that kind of natural flow from one gold mine to the other, that's when B got a better side to this. You can see it, actually. He's got 3 gold veins, and if you can zoom out just a tiny bit more, they'd all be on the same screen. Meanwhile, PuppyPaw, his is less optimal. You can see, after he does the second gold line, he has to go out into no man's land. So this can be a little bit dangerous, and I wouldn't be surprised if PuppyPaw identifies this and tries to be the aggressor early on. The issue you might run into is if he doesn't go for the Magadai build, I know B will. B loves this build right now. He started doing it a lot against the French, but he's actually advanced it to be done against a lot of other Civs. Even players like Viper have been doing this regularly as well, where they hop into the Magadai, they spam out a few of them, and then they look to scale quickly into Castle Age, unlock Lancers, and then they go for a full cavalry composition. An interesting evolution of the Mongol playstyle, because this Civ has very much been a infantry Civ for a while now, right? Like, we've seen players, they'll push out a few Lancers, but then they fall back to man-at-arms, and crossbows are the most popular units because they have the ability to build siege in the field as they approach their opponent's base. So, at the moment, only one pasture. I'm expecting, yeah, second one already out from B. PuppyPaw is a little bit more stretched in that regard, and you can kind of feel it as well. And when we look at the numbers, actually, PuppyPaw, he's pulled everyone off wood. Excuse me, sorry. I'm feeling a bit ill the last few days. But I couldn't let a good game pass us by uncasted, which is why we're here making sure we get the best action. And that double pasture is going to accelerate quickly. How many sheep did PuppyPaw get? Okay, so he's flowing a decent amount at the moment. I believe that is, yeah, so that's actually really good. So he got 9, and then obviously he generated 2 so far. Meanwhile, I think B required this. You can actually see he's got barely any sheep. So that's why he went for the quicker pasture, or second pasture rather. But it does mean that his tech up is slow. And it's smart by PuppyPaw to identify this. I think he'd done this somewhat blind. He identifies it now moving to his opponent's base, but he had to feel it. Like, he had a lot of sheep, and his opponent may not have when he watched him in the midfield. But B is looking to fix that. As he will be later up into the feudal, he's going to give himself a staging point on his opponent's side of the map. Villager moving out, I'm expecting the outpost in the stealth forest, where it cannot be spotted, simply to be that Yam movement speed booster when he goes on the offensive. There we go. So tech up finally there. We'll begin. And it should be straight into an archery range in this type of matchup. A lot of players used to go for the spearman. This is kind of fallen off. Multiple reasons. One, spears obviously get very easily counted, and it means you're making your first transition ahead of your opponent, which gives them times to react, especially against such a slow unit. 2, it kind of puts you on this cheesy timing around going to do outposts so you don't have your value. And 3, if your opponent sees you do it, and he goes for a racks as well, and you arrive in their base, they're going to out-generate you. They're going to have more units. And speaking of that generation, the other final nail in the coffin for that build being the go-to de facto is the fact that you don't get as much stone as you used to. Remember, the UV got changed. You used to give 105 stone at all ages. Now it's 80, 100, 120, 150 stone per minute based on your age. And no, I don't mean you need to be 18 to watch this movie. I mean what age you're in terms of, feudal, dark, castle, and imperial. I know. Now you know I'm an authentic caster. I could say all 4 of the ages. Don't question they weren't even in the correct order. So, drive-by. Looks like it's going to switch over to try and snipe out the sheep. B just trying to stun his opponent's economy a little bit, but as we know, already got 2 pastures, had plenty of sheep to float. We'll be safe, and we'll complete the tech up ahead of B. And B did invest 1 more villager to be slower. Did get the outpost down, so he went a little bit more risky. Didn't stop at the stealth forest, identifying the fact that his opponent hadn't built a single military building. But that changes now. PuppyPaw going to be first to build his archery range. And I'm expecting B to do the exact same thing. Then again, he might just try to rush full castle with this condensed eco area. Right? It doesn't necessarily require as much mid-control as PuppyPaw's does. Like, this gold line is very far out. This gold line is actually hugging a tree, like 1 or 2 outposts can hold it. So it might be actually that B tries to just negate going units at all and zooms towards Castle Age ahead of his opponent. Because Castle Age really is the win condition for Mongols. In a Mongol-Mongol matchup, the smallest thing can make the biggest difference. And there's no denying that being a minute ahead of your opponent into castle is a huge booster, because that's when you get your huge economical benefits, right? The gold that you generate from a step redoubt is insane at that stage, because it gives you an extra 50% drop-off when you deposit at the step redoubt. Also means you have to move out slower, right? So you can actually play on your first gold line longer if you get there quicker, as opposed to if you're extracting slower, you might end up taking surplus gold out of this, and it means instead of this being, let's say you go down to 3,000 gold by the time you tech up, this is now a 4.5k gold vein. Instead, like, if you take too long and you start investing in Magadai, you go down to, say, 2k gold, all of a sudden this is only a 3,000 gold vein because the step readout gives an initial 50%. So, watch your range up, Magadai out. And it looks like B is going for that full greed. You can see he's amassing as quickly as possible. Does need to be a little bit careful with this. He could be clipped before he learns how to fly here. However, being a B, he does naturally have that in his repertoire. He's quite good at flying around and being annoying, and he's no stranger to being frustrating for his opponent. And in this situation, like, the timing might be too late for PuppyPaw. The big issue with Magadai is they're a great answer to midfield tempo control. If your opponent also has a stretched economy, they stretch it further, right? They punish you for having to be loose. The issue that I see with this is PuppyPaw, he saw the layout of B's base, he saw that his opponent had this type of generation, and he chose to invest in Magadai. Yes, it's only 2 Magadai, but it still feels like 2 Magadai too many. And you can see on the eco side, he's going to be delayed by half a minute to a minute over B's timing, and it means that he's going to accelerate into Castle Age quicker, and that critical point arrives for him where he's actually going to have half a minute of 50% extra gold, and he's also going to have surplus stone compared to his opponent because he didn't waste any on a Magadai. Oof. That snipe as well. The outpost actually taking out one of the Magadai. This is another frustrating issue, and look what PuppyPaw does. He pulls all the villages. This is delaying his timing more. Oh, no. This is working out perfectly for B right now. The Khan will shift away quickly before he's punished. Almost up at the veteran Khan status. And yes, you do get this outpost. You do get paid 50 resources. But how long did this take? 20 seconds at least, right? 20 seconds of 17 villages not gathering doesn't make good trade, right? Like, you took away 17 villages that on average gather about 40 resources per minute to get 50 resources, and it took you almost half a minute. Those numbers do not add up in your favor. Like, I'm not a mathematician, but even I can work out those numbers are too big for it to be valuable for you. Now B also with that 1 eco lead. On top of that, having the tech up, and PuppyPaw so delayed, he still doesn't have the numbers. Instead, he doubles down on the Magadai. This is dangerous as well, because B has the flexibility. Look, he can go in the crossbow. Crossbowman against Magadai, a little bit surprising here. Cost effective on saving on the Uvu, right? Compared to the Magadai that costs an extra 40 stone. But overall, like, unit-wise, like, I'm surprised he didn't go for the Magadai himself with the upgraded perks, right? Like the veterancy, giving the extra 20% health, 20 health rather, and also damage. And then also the Sire bow limbs into Lancers would be really strong here. So kind of surprised he goes for the crossbows, but I think the intention from B is understanding how far ahead he is in terms of tech up. I think he just wants to get a critical mass of infantry to then move across the field and then build into siege. But looks like he's going to do that cheeky play. The prayer tent next to the Uvu, giving him the ability to get double Monk out. Meaning he'll be able to quickly crawl out across the map, gather these relics, understanding that PuppyPaw can't get them, but this is somewhat risky considering your opponent has shown Magadai already. The good news, however, is that he has this Khan. This boss Khan, veteran Khan doing so much damage, Magadai dying, villagers dying. And his own Khan can't hang around because he's only got 115 health compared to the 300. It means he's not trading well, and also now the drive-by continues. And it's 8 damage compared to the 4. It's not a good trade for him. He actually uses the attack speed arrow, and he gets baited. B, playing him like a fiddle, assassinates the Khan, peels back just in time. One of the Magadai almost dead here, and PuppyPaw stuck. Poppy's bringing those paws over his face right now. Pepe hands in PuppyPaw mode. Because right now, B has a decisive lead at this stage. Outpost going to be sniped and taken out before it even gets the arrow slits upgrade. B will not be denied. He does pull a bunch of villagers, but less so than what PuppyPaw did before. And also remember, he already has the step readout, so he's getting the additional efficiency of his economy there with 9 people on this gold line. There they are. The first monks coming out. Good old shamans on their little boogaloos. They move 15% quicker due to the Yam movement speed. The Magadai will be a problem, but the issue that now exists, and this is the weakness of doing Magadai too much early on, is if your Khan dies, you don't do anything. Like, you don't have vision to find direction. You don't have a maneuver arrow to get you up quickly. You don't have the attack speed arrow to, like, to quickly just disintegrate an eco line you find exposed. And it means that these Magadai are worthless. They don't do anything. In fact, they can very easily die as well, because they only have 85 health still at this point. And while this is happening, while he thinks he's getting somewhat of a good trade, he's pressuring, whatever, B is establishing the forward outpost. He's starting to close the map a little bit. PuppyPaw's win conditions very much out the window now. He needs to recover quickly because B is giving himself scalability while clearly being ahead. You can see he's gathering up the relics now. This is something that PuppyPaw really can't easily afford to transition into, but he's going for it anyway, far behind his opponent. The good news, however, is relics are located close to his base. The bad news being these outposts that B has placed means that you shouldn't be able to pick them up easily. Crossbow and crossbow, but that Khan's still a problem. The Khan doesn't take bonus damage from this unit type, so not easy to insta-shred. And PuppyPaw has a really big issue here. His transition wasn't really a transition, it was a double down. He stubbornly just stuck his head in the dirt and continued to produce even more archery ranges. And while he will reach a critical mass of crossbow to beat B's crossbows, B now has the flexibility to do what he chooses. And he chooses Spearman, a cost-effective solution to this unit. And also with the Yam movement speed, something that PuppyPaw doesn't have, they can quickly gap close. Treb being built B? What? Well, he does at least have the outpost here. Screwed upgrade isn't in just yet, but the spears are arriving. And Treb's being built on both sides. So PuppyPaw, he sees this outpost. B's is a little bit more confusing. Not going for Mangonel first. Instead, choosing to opt for the Trebuchet. Now we'll go for the Mangonel. And his Treb starts firing first. And it will start sniping out that outpost. The Yam movement speed isn't here. PuppyPaw needs to be careful. Will abandon the Trebuchet and retreat away. And it feels like B is just a little bit quicker to each of these moves. Khan able to peel back just in time. 8 health remaining. Big deal there. Because he's about to have an arrow soon. And that arrow could be critical here. Spirals are going to be built by PuppyPaw, but look at B's gold. He can afford a lot more siege. And he'll continue to do so as he continues to gather up these relics. None have been banked just yet by PuppyPaw. He didn't go for the double shaman, but he's wheeling out. So he's able to quickly bank and keep moving on. But this will leave him a little bit vulnerable if he's not careful. Shaman move around the side. Khan does get sniped out. And this shaman, he should be protected. There's enough crossbow and the Mangonel coming as well. B will get this relic to safety. The attack speed arrow comes out. The crossbows are a problem. Mangonel shot on the side. PuppyPaw does sidestep it though. Shaman will keep retreating away. Has the Yam movement speed soon, so he'll be able to quickly just jostle his way back to base safely. And this relic in the center, PuppyPaw can't get it. PuppyPaw is maybe going to get 2 relics. That's his max that he's getting out of this. And B has gotten them sooner. And we can see on the income per minute the effect of this. B has 11 people. PuppyPaw has 10. But yet the gold difference is quite notable here due to the fact he's banked more already. In fact, that's going to be 4, yeah. Wait, that's 5. Oh my god. He pulled it from the far side. Yeah, it was over here. Oh no, I thought PuppyPaw got 1. He got none. This is so costly. Now, 500 passive gold go to his opponent. There's the investment of 200 wood into the temple for nothing here, and then he actually produced the shaman. This is so costly for PuppyPaw. He's miles behind his opponent now. He needs a transition, and he needs to move soon. If he continues on a stalemate, and he slows this game down, B is going to accelerate vastly ahead of him. He can afford to tech up ahead of his opponent. He can afford more siege. Right now, PuppyPaw's only choice is to go on the offensive of raids. He needs to draw attention away from his base, but the issue he has with this is that B has already established outposts in the center. So he's not far away and is likely to arrive at your base quicker than you can get to his. This is heavily condemning right now for PuppyPaw. PuppyPaw moving out with the crossbow, but no Yam movement speed. Or at least snipe out a villager. Spearmen now arriving. They haven't been upgraded at all by B. Bit of a mistake there. But their main service was meant to be to build mangonels, and they have been serving that purpose well. And you can see the move. PuppyPaw, he's really all in with this. And this is dangerous. You don't have the Yam movement speed. You don't have quick gap close. Crossbowmen only moving at 1.12 movement speed per second means that they cannot stick on top of these villages, because even without the Yam movement speed, they're already quicker. And with the Yam movement speed, they're almost at cavalry speed, it feels like. At least in comparison to what the crossbows can do. You can see Yam movement speed 1.49 with the wheelbarrow. With that running speed from the Yam. And the hit from the Mangonel peels it back, gets ready to reload and go for the second shot. These crossbowmen all going to be squishy and low. Needs to be careful. Khan's being baited in, but he's focused firing onto the Mangonel. Gap closes on top of it. A nice move, it seems, from PuppyPaw, but what is the price? The wrapping from B coming from the north, Khan from the south. Yes, you get a Mangonel, but your army's wiped. And these trades are not going to be good. Spearman also arriving. Spearman's getting in range. The damage adds up, and PuppyPaw's army is going to be wiped. The Khan dead as well, meaning he has no maneuverability in the next fight. And you know that B's going for that fight. He's well positioned for it. Trebuchet is still alive. He can push through into these outposts, and he can slowly but surely reach in to PuppyPaw's economy. And here's this raiding force we were talking about. PuppyPaw is prepping himself. He's going hard in the horsemen. Double, stable, mass producing as quickly as possible. The issue, however, is there's already spearmen in the field. And he needs a defense force. Because he sacrificed the crossbow, he no longer has this flexibility of sending horsemen around the side and having a defense force at base. He now has to invest the horsemen into holding base, meaning that B has the valuable composition against his opponent as he continues to push out a few spearmen. PuppyPaw, his best hope right now is to drop additional outposts and wrap these horsemen into his opponent's economy. Because B is getting a little bit greedy, but not greedy enough. You can see this boy's a smart cookie. He drops multiple outposts, preemptive outposts. Most players wait until they're rushed here, but he understands that in this situation, being so dominantly ahead, gathering all the relics and winning each of these fights, PuppyPaw's only course of action is to raid him on the sides. So B is willing to sacrifice some of his momentum that he's built up over time to protect that lead. A critical detail here that some players fall short of and get punished for in these type of games. And Treb starts to move in. Outpost forces villagers out to repair it, but he set it on fire. He got paid. This Treb mostly paid for itself at this stage. B so healthy on the numbers. So much gold. So much wood. And he will invest all of that. And these sprawled upgrades already in place for B. PuppyPaw struggling to get them online. Even if he built more outposts, his stone is capped because he invests it all into new units because he needs that critical mass and he needs it soon. He understands he's on the clock and he knows the window of opportunity is closing where he potentially can bounce back. And it's going to come down to this. The Khan spawns, he needs a fight and he needs it soon. All three sacred sites controlled by B will force PuppyPaw to come out. This outpost network, you can just see it, folks. PuppyPaw so stunted, so limited. Look at the difference here. Outposts to the north and the south. Control in the center. B, with that flexibility of his Yam movement speed, can quickly react on the fly. Something that PuppyPaw does not have on his side. And it just feels like there's no weakness. Like, B has already padded his wood line, right? Like, he's got surplus wood, so he's not going to be missing that in the next minute. Food is still good. He needs more pastures. Oh, yeah, he needs more pastures soon. This is a limitation. B, if he makes a mistake here, his food is going to be a limiting factor that PuppyPaw can exploit. But PuppyPaw has similar issues. He's moved out on the deer to try and pad this, but it does mean he's exposed. And Spril's moving in. Villagers now starting to die. And the Mangonel starting to roll in. PuppyPaw not having the biggest advances here. Only 2 Sprils to his name. He can't afford more. And it's do or die. 21 horsemen will decide this game one way or the other. Double Mangonel is going to be a problem. These horsemen are still not upgraded. Where is the upgrade, PuppyPaw? Oh, baby, please. He hasn't got the food. This Zerg, they're going to be burnt through quickly. Missing the additional health. The Mangonel's hurt, and the Mangonels are hurting onto this archer line. Pushes them back. Spearman buffering him away in the Stealth Forest. Ambushes him, tries to wrap around onto the Magos, but Mangonel's already firing onto the archers. Turns around for the horsemen as well. The army quickly being wiped, and it's not a quality army. They cannot tank, they cannot last. Game 1 will go to B. And what a way to decide it. Decisive for so much of this game. B takes his time, understands where he has economical leads, and finds ways to exploit it without throwing his opportunity to win this game. Slowly shrinking that map and making PuppyPaw feel like a puppy when he wants to be a wolf. And with that, takes game 1 of this best of 3, but it is a best of 3. PuppyPaw is not out. He's not down for the count. There will be potentially 2 more games. But game 2 will be a mirror matchup. That much I know of. So PuppyPaw, if he wants to bounce back, he's got a golden opportunity to prove that he can be the better of the opposite players, as that is what they're going to be taking to. Probably on Lipany would be my guess. We'll check that in a sec, but really well played. I just want to highlight to round this out that this was very methodical by B. He didn't overinvest. He understood when his opponent had done so, and instead of choosing to play around feudal long, which serves the purposes of PuppyPaw, he decides to just immediately rush up into castle. The issue with this strategy by PuppyPaw is it kind of felt like he floated a lot of surplus resources instead of just committing. Had he maybe gone in sooner with Magadai, there's potential value here, but I think the issue I see in the first place is that he went Magadai against a very tight build from B. There was nothing that was exposed. The issue with Magadai is some people like to think they're broken or they're a little bit too strong or they'll dominate games, but the issue is that they only dominate games when your opponent plays loose economy, when it's unprotected. When B has a base this condensed, Magadai really isn't the call. If you want to go Magadai, it has to come in later with Lancers. It has to be to your benefit. The only way it makes sense is if your opponent is playing midfield, but B understands what his opponent is doing, scouts it out, allows him to invest in feudal when he never has to, and then proves exactly how big of a lead you can take with just half a minute to a minute of castle age advantage in a Mongol mirror matchup. You haven't missed much, guys. We're only a minute into the game. It's because I got the studio mode open. Big whoopsie there, but we are ready for this one. So here we go. Game number 2, opposite mirror matchup between PuppyPaw and B. And as we were just saying, like both these players, they do like to get a bit aggressive. They will look to maybe prolong feudal, drag it out, and get some fights done. And with this generation, that does seem likely as well. You've got gold lines, berry lines, like quite exposed. This generation feels more like a dry Arabia than a Lipany, if you looked away from the central stealth forest, right? Like there's no huge abundancy of tree lines just waved around your base. You haven't got like 4 natural choke points created around your town center. Instead, when you look at PuppyPaws, there's a lot of open ground to assault you from. Same with B to the east side here. So I'm curious to see if either player will feel this way and choose to go for like an active horseman army to try and keep the pressure in the mid-map. Also, from that fort, I wonder if we're going to get any sort of play into this central stealth forest with an early outpost. It's not something we see Abbasid players do as often, but I do feel like it has a lot of merit. It's something that I've seen a few players actually heavily leverage, but I do think it's most important if you have additional advantages, right? So if you're Mongols, the English, it makes sense to invest 100 wood in what is usually one of the most decisive areas of the map in the first 20 minutes. For the Abbasids, less so. But it would allow them to secure near the central area. And there is definitely a lot of merit towards PuppyPaw wanting to do this with a second berry bush line so close. His other options are really far out. I actually think B got the better side of this if this game goes to like the 20-minute mark, just because of the way his generation played. Like his berry lines are very much retracted behind his base, while PuppyPaw has the absolute opposite. He has one here and then one here, and then the other ones are far out on the sides. And also, when we look at the relic generation situation, like when this drags late, once again, B has a lot of benefits there. So PuppyPaw might just need to step it up. Right now, looks like they're going to be almost matched on their tech up timings. Not too much in it. As we said, the question is like who's going to blink first? Because I think the big issue when you have this type of mirror matchup is like the play under stone is logical, right? Like I think most players are going to always do this, even if they're scouted. And the reason they'll do it, even if they're scouted, is because they want to see what their opponent does first. Like, if you are going onto the stone like you are as B, PuppyPaw now has, like, this awkward situation where he either goes stone himself, or he now drops a military building. He doesn't want to drop a military building first, because then his opponent can make a transition ahead of him. He is aware that B is very much a Snoopy-type player, right? He likes to keep an eye on his opponent's base, even with a one-scout situation. And that's one of the beautiful things about the Abbasids, is they don't need to go and gather sheep. It's not a necessity for the Civ. Even past the initial berry line, like, this Civ has very quickly become the king of pocket ecos. So, tech up's complete. And it looks like after all that bigging up about maybe some feudal aggression, I think maybe after they've seen each other's generations, they might feel a need to just hang back a bit. And you can see it, just shifting more people over on the stone. This should be a TC forward towards this berry line. I like this move by PuppyPaw if he does it. I don't see any other potential value. Maybe you go for the deer to the north side, but I feel like you need to move towards this central area. Too much of your gold is located in the center here. If you choose to go for a back TC, B's going to identify this and likely ramp up the aggression in the center just so that you get denied the equity required to get into castle age. B himself, like, his base, we talked about this already, right? Like, less exposed. His gold line is at the front, but it's not out in no man's land, whereas I feel like you can very quickly find yourself kind of exposed because the central mass has too much value in it. And of course, this is one of those situations when you get these kind of boomy civs on civs, it is kind of cool to watch. Like, some people don't like mirror matchups. I think if you ask high-level players, they actually love them, at least to watch, because it allows you to see the small differences that actually allow for the optimal build. Of course, the downside when it's the Abbasids versus Abbasids is they don't tend to do anything aggressive early on. So, you know, from a me-like shiny explosions point of view, like, you don't get much of that to begin with. But you do get these interesting TC expansions, and it seems like B's going to go for his standard one. But he blocks it! Oh, PuppyPaw. Can he get across? Oh my god, the deer! The deer's a problem, PuppyPaw! He's delaying this so much! PuppyPaw, you god! This is the wolf we wanted, but he cannot delay it any longer. He will get it down in the end. He just about finds the wiggle room. It looks like the deer should have denied it, but no. Shifts across to the side, gives just enough room. Did delay him somewhat and allowed this. PuppyPaw, while he was doing all this, began his expansion. And he does it, not for the gold, but for the wood and the food. Even deeper towards the center of the map, he's going to be ahead of his opponent on the eco side. What a play out of Puppy. I warned you. I said that this guy would deliver. And, like, small things like that, right? We talked about it. In mirror matchups, the smallest thing makes the mile. And that will make the mile here, as it will give him a quicker TC boom, allowing him to unlock his village account a little bit quicker. And fresh food stuff should already be there on both sides, so not lagging behind in that department. And more importantly, this TC going down kind of strips some options from B. He can't go aggressive anymore at the same time we were talking about before. Had he gone straight into a stable, he could have actually rushed out, harassed this, and prevented this TC from going down because it's too greedy. And it would have been important because, like, PuppyPaw is kind of 70, 80% likely to drop this TC because of the equity in the center. If you deny him and force a back TC, he's not actually getting an optimal economy around the 20-25 minute mark. But this way, he's got a front staging point. He even drops the outpost. Like, I love this. We talked about it early on. Like, there's certain civs that absolutely have to do this, such as the English and the Mongols. I think in this situation, you want to have that eyeball on what's coming earlier just to be able to react ahead of time. Because as your economy scales here, you're going to find yourself with too many villages to be protected by a town center. And it will give you the extra heads up time to retreat away from this front back towards your primary TC if need be. And it means that B will absolutely struggle to find any units he can assassinate here. And third TC as well, so PuppyPaw now extending. And this is the preferential approach. Like, I like this TC at the back. I know I said it wasn't good for the second, but it's really good for the third. The second is established frontal control. It's giving you dominance in the center, a defense point, and it means that B gets punished for doing this. This camel archer doesn't feel as valuable anymore because he doesn't have a quick access route. He also went spears, so he has to go wider around, and also that TC forces him even wider. And where is he going to, right? Like, there's no exposure on the east side. Notice that a lot of what PuppyPaw has done here is to protect and pad the west side of his base for expansion. The only thing he's missing right now is an outpost here. If he drops an outpost here, which would be fantastic to daisy chain link in for the Golden Age, then he should be well protected against any early dives by B. And B will be chased away, so no more vision for him. And he's building the ram very early here, identifying that PuppyPaw has not gone into any military production, but this ram is a little bit slow. Yeah, he's not working everyone on it. And the problem with that is you can already see that PuppyPaw is getting his counters ready. Archers being produced. In mass, in fact. 3 archery ranges because he doesn't want to build spears against the camel archer. And also, your opponent went for spears. This is actually really smart by PuppyPaw. Sometimes you get punished for going for such a one-dimensional composition, but B's done too much now. He's built a racks, he's built an archery range. He actually built 2 racks here. I don't know if PuppyPaw quite saw that or assessed it based on the number, but it means that PuppyPaw now has a perfect composition to counter out everything B wants to do in the next 2 to 3 minutes. And now the denial on the outpost as well. B, you filthy little snake. Even the wildlife hates you right now. PuppyPaw using his skills to negotiate with the puppies on the map. He speaks the bitey infantry language. Just waves a little paws at him. Like, got it, Chief. Let's go kill him. Ram, in the meantime, will at least get through the outpost, but the archer count is increasing quickly. And B, I don't think you can push in with this ram here. You don't actually have a range composition that's strong enough. Only 4 in a camel archer right now, and he's going into stables. And this is a heavy investment. 3 stables being built right now. Remember, PuppyPaw, he's addressing your first fight here, and he went 3 TCs. So in the next 4 or 5 minutes, he'll actually be able to outmass you. You need to be very careful with your B now. Archers pushing him back. Scout baits away 7 spearmen. That's such a loss there. The ram goes down. The spearmen get baited to the side. It means you take suboptimal fights. And 10 archers here for PuppyPaw means he can snipe you out. This is not a critical mass of horsemen. B's rushing this and paying the price for it. Woo-wee, wow-wee. New outpost going down quick as well. Villagers being peeled back. No textiles just yet, but PuppyPaw, yep, I was about to say, he's definitely going for it now. You have 3 TCs, you can afford it. It's so good that he's doing this. He sees his aggression is ramping up. He understands that he must have more TCs, and it means he can sacrifice 1 villager production to get 50% more health on all of his economy units. Really cool play. And I'm not expecting the same out of B. B hasn't felt pressure yet. I think B understands what's happening here. Like, his opponent hasn't invested in the same size of army. He's just been able to buffer him away because he didn't diversify that army. Had PuppyPaw already dropped a racks and been producing archers as well, B would have taken a good enough fight that maybe that ram gets on the TC. But because it's just this massman of archers, there's nothing that B can do right now, and denied another villager trying to drop this outpost. An outpost that is critical to him breaching the center here. PuppyPaw, the army continues to expand. Blacksmith also being built, something that I don't think we've seen out of B just yet. So the tech upgrades are going to be there soon. And you can see what B is targeting. He wants the tech up. He needs it fast. The issue I have is even if he rushes towards his castle now, PuppyPaw with his current economy count should be maybe a minute maximum behind that. And this isn't the Mongol matchup where a minute makes the world a difference. It can, but you need the breathing room to drop the mangonels. And I'm not sure if you'll have that wiggle room here. Oh, now the camel comes out. Spearman as well. And the transition's being completed so fast, but B, look at him racing towards this. And it looks like he's doing it much faster than expected here, so he might have room to try and actually take advantage of his tech up, but he needs to address his wood. Remember, the reason he's got so much food and gold is because he's sacrificing wood production that's going to be critical at the start of your castle age to get those initial siege engines out. Nice little wrap in. Horseman just slowing down the economy. And remember, every time you do this, even if you lose a unit or 2, it's the fact that you're stopping PuppyPaw from gathering. And he needs a lot of food and gold to get where he's going. Excuse me. Hey man, I might be ill, but I'm not going to miss this game. Archer's pushing the ram back. Another 300 wood investment by B. And the outpost once again denied. And remember, he's deleting all of the stealth forest every time he tries to build these outposts. That means there's nowhere to hide. It's so predictable to see you. Ram is just AFK, wasting time doing nothing right now. Expansion on the berry line. This is critical for B. He can't be pushed away from here. But PuppyPaw, does he continue? Does he build into rams now, or does he fall back and get his castle age? He needs to think, and he needs to think quickly, because B is about to have a clear edge. Remember, the difference between this Civ matchup and other ones is that you can't accelerate your tech up. It's 1 minute 45 seconds that B will have as an advantage. And look at the surplus he's building. If he sorts his wood, that can be 2 or 3 mangonels, and he can rush PuppyPaw. PuppyPaw needs to be very careful with this archer battalion, because they are very squishy. Moving in with a few spearmen. That will burn down the ram quickly, so another 300 wood wasted, but B, He's already got military production buildings, and he's got surplus. He's ready to go. And PuppyPaw buying time. Doesn't want to expose his flank anymore. Goes north to palisade ball this up. You can see the PuppyPaw, he's trying to delay this, but I think the plan now changes. Now that he sees the Castle Age up, he'll look to ram in. He needs to get rid of his TC to punish B for going for Castle Age. And he's well primed, in position to do exactly that. Archer's moving in so many villages here. And B, he never got the textiles. PuppyPaw waited so long to raid in, he's going to get maximum impact here. Chasing in, forcing all the villagers away from the berry line. B does at least have surplus, so he won't be exposed like that. But his TC will be exposed. 2.4k HP will not last long against this many spearmen and the ram. And B is in trouble. Mangonel marching forward slowly here. The issue is he doesn't address the ram just yet. Horseman trying to ride around. Spearman will force them away. And the critical mass archer is able to snipe them out one by one. Shot coming in onto the ram. It hits the archers as well. PuppyPaw going a little bit too deep. Needs to retreat. Mangonel tries to switch target. Goes for the wrong one though. Small peel off of archers. Wastes the shot, but now the Lancers are in. So many archers here, though. And no missile resistance upgrade means the Lancers do take a decent amount of damage. 2 per shot out of the archers, and so many of them here. These Lancers, B, he rushes out and pays the price. He wanted to defend this TC so badly, it looks like there's going to be more things in the ground than just this town center. Now Man-at-Arms starting to come out, but PuppyPaw is content. You'll notice he'll back off now. His tech up has begun. Damage has been done, and his eco lead will continue to scale. 69 villages for B, a nice number, but nowhere near as nice as the 88 for PuppyPaw. Ram, just getting his bang for buck. All these small buildings add up, right? Like, you paid 300 wood for this. It already got his value out of the TC. Killing outposts, killing these mills, anything else as well. It just makes it such an efficient trade to just have one ram here. And Mago is at least going to keep PuppyPaw away from engaging. I say that, he's trying to go now. He might gap close. Oh no! B! He's AFK! One ram down. Spears, nice sidestep. Beautifully done. PuppyPaw chasing in now. B needs to retreat. This many spearmen can instant burn down the Mangonel before he can repair it. And there it is. Molotov's being thrown out, trying to emergency repair it out. Mangonel shot, sidestep, minimum damage done against the archers, and the archers starting to snipe out the villagers. Mangonel focused by the spearmen. Lancer's trying to take them out, but so many villagers going down, and PuppyPaw with so many archers remaining in the field. He'll back away now. Spearmen, they bait themselves. Should have been addressing the Lancers. Sidesteps, nice wiggle there to get away from the last shot from the Mangonel. Means a lot of archers are going to survive and retreat, and more spearmen coming out. B will have to get out of here. And even more damage done. Not even at the 69 mark anymore. B being outmassed. 1.5 ratio on the villager count in favor of PuppyPaw. And PuppyPaw about to complete his tech up with a standing army. It's not like he's building from zero here, folks. He has a defense force in place. PuppyPaw, even after that greed, he's not punished because he has so much surplus economy. You can see it on the income per minute, ahead in every regard. Gold bars everywhere, not just under the gold category. Now more defenses going up. B trying to pad himself, but his window's closing. If he can't strike in the next minute or two, PuppyPaw's going to achieve all of his unlocks. Remember, his economy is a lot stronger, so he can afford these tech ups quicker than B was waiting for them. And with as many archers, yeah, he's already lined that up. Wouldn't be surprised if he considers camel archers at some stage, but for the moment, it's just going to be spears. He doesn't need men-at-arms. In this matchup, men-at-arms is quite the bait. Because spearmen, well, they address most of what's in the composition right now for B, because you don't tend to amass archers at this stage. And also, the real answer to man-at-arms isn't other man-at-arms, or crossbows even, it's Mangonels. And because you're saving a lot more resources by paying 80 resources compared to the 120, you get better bang for buck. It builds a bigger surplus of resources, allowing you to afford more siege weapons. That's before we even talk about the fact that you're actually inclined to go for more spears because you have phalanx. Phalanx meaning that these man-at-arms that do 12 damage, compared to the spears that are doing 8, they're actually equaling up, because double the amount of spears are able to attack compared to the amount of man-at-arms, because the second line is stabbing past the first. Such a big brain play. I mean, honestly, the brainiac right here at work, PuppyPaw, like, he must have identified this as well. Like, everything I've just described, if I can work it out, a genius like this can. This guy's top-notch, and he's not failing to impress in game number 2. And he sneaks in with the archers as well. Onto the berry lines. All the expansions are in trouble now. He's got to peel them all back. He can't actually wait around here. Meanwhile, a few spearmen getting picked apart. Mangonel's feeling a little bit ambitious here. PuppyPaw riding in quick with the spears. Still not upgraded, though. Beautiful sidestep. He's so on point with this every time. And now the veterancy is there. Chases in. Torches out. Pulls in. Needs 1 or 2 more taps in. Mangonel's shot looking good, but Torch is looking better. And this is a good trade. Even if the Spearmen fall, they're going to find their trades. 1, 2. Make that free. Mangonel's going to fall here. Village is not good enough for repair. B can no longer sacrifice away from his eco lines to repair en masse. And diving like that so trivially gets the good trade and gets away with it too. Like a thief in the night, he will yoink from B, and he yoinks at the back as well. Lance is not addressing this. B forced to build more defenses. B can't push more villagers out. A small contingent archers denying all these valuable berry bushes right now, shifting around, looking for weakness, and he's going to find it. Wood line and stone line are exposed, and B is not peeling them back. And by the time he sees this, it's going to be too late, and he still doesn't have textiles. Oh no, B. Baby, say it ain't so. Pressed on 2 sides. Man-at-arms switch now coming out. PuppyPaw has the whole world in his hand, and he's about to take that world and Hadouken smash it straight towards B's base. And this keep is going to ensure it. It really has been a battle for who can get the better fortifications in these trees. And I think PuppyPaw will be the one getting the last laugh, as there's not much of this stealth forest left, but there's enough to park a keep in it still. Lancers will finally be able to clean up these veteran archers, but they have found their value. They deny on multiple fronts. They've stunted the growth, and B, I think he's 1 pocket eco away, snipe away from being kind of out of this. Like, it's very much teeter-tottering on the edge, and you know PuppyPaw's going to ramp up the aggression. Look at the eco difference, 130 to 72. Also in the military count, this cheap bang-for-buck composition of spears is paying dividends right now. And also the farm transition, another issue here. I've got to give so much credit to PuppyPaw. He could have been greedy. He could have just went for berries, but his economy is fat. It's getting big too fast, so he preemptively shifts into the mills before he dries up the berries. Meanwhile, B hasn't made that transition. He's still trailing in the siege department, trailing in the eco department, and he still has to worry about paying 75 wood for his infinite food sources later on. This is going to leave him very vulnerable in the next 5 to 10 minutes. B needs to find a way in before these palisade walls get upgraded to stone. He needs to find a way to snipe some economy and draw PuppyPaw back. The weakness of his composition right now is it's all infantry. If you can force him to go defensive, it takes him a long time to respond. You probably still snipe some eco units, and you also alleviate pressure away, but PuppyPaw will not be baited. He understands his timing here. Such a big force needs to make a move, and make a move they will. Mangonel shot, sidestep, futile damage being done here. And just a few man-at-arms can burn these down. Villagers aren't here to protect. And it's going to force him away. Buildings starting to be burnt. 150 wood for each of those going down. And a TC expansion B this late. Buddy, this is dangerous. He will not be spotted. If there was a scout here, that might just be GG. He'll hold on for the moment, but look what PuppyPaw's ready to do. B, he doesn't have the surplus. PuppyPaw's going to sacrifice his aggression now to get the Imperial Age ahead of his opponent. Oi, oi, oi. B, that win condition, that raid, that bounce back potential, it's closing quickly, but he's finally in position with it. The Lancers moving across, but I don't know if this is good enough. 7 Lancers cannot breach this palisade wall quick. And that means that Paw, he'll notice. Puppy's moving across now. This Sprout is a smart play by B, but it doesn't kill them quick due to the fact they have textiles. And he's delaying this a long time. You can see he's shifting across now. Crossbows will be in position soon as they march north, and 12 of them will disintegrate the Lancer line, so B will have to back away. Meanwhile, still going through that military district, everything on the front exposed, and B, he doesn't have backup buildings. This is dangerous. Right in, though. PuppyPaw sees he has the numbers in the fight. He marches forward straight towards the back line of the siege. Not held back. Man-at-arms out of position means he's going to be able to throw torches at one of the Mangonels. Moves to the second as well. It's worth it to trade them out. One more torch. Mangonel shot comes out. Heavy damage on the Man-at-arms, but they're funding their trades. So many siege weapons there for B, and he's going to struggle to replace them. He's struggling to replace anything he loses right now. Who at least take this fight. It will delay PuppyPaw, but PuppyPaw seemingly just throwing away his army because he can replace it in an instant. Tech up is almost complete. He's floating surplus on the wood, on the gold, and his food continues to accelerate quickly, and it's only going to get better from here. Soon, he will have access to the agriculture and the improved processing, and that is when your eco gets juiced. That's before even talking about Golden Age. 51 structures. Folks, it's soon going to be unlocked. And that production speed is going to cripple B. B, because he's been assaulted in his own base, he's getting further away from that. You can see on the numbers, 32 of the 60 required. Meanwhile, PuppyPaw less than 10 away. His outpost that B is establishing, well, we see this so frequently from him. He loves to outpost spam, but the window of opportunity in the game where this matters has really passed. They get sieged so quickly now with this massament of mangonels that get built up. It means you can no longer rely on it to protect you. B, he still needs this raid through. He did breach the wall. The problem is that there are crossbows on patrol. And these sprills are not really doing much to cripple PuppyPaw at all. The only good thing for B is he's at least getting onto these berries. He's delaying that farm time again, but you have to ask what for. He's got almost 2k surplus wood. He's getting the better gathering rates, but he hasn't got that extendable economy that's going to last in the same place for a long time. And look at the sneak through. PuppyPaw goes through unnoticed by B. And how has B not seen this? He's had vision on it the whole time. And that's more villages dead. More villages he can't afford to lose. Still, no text. Oh, okay, textiles is there. The crossbows just hit that hard. It just doesn't matter. And now sword on the front as well. And wood is drying up. This is a problem for B. He's going to have to shift to the north, and he can't afford to be that far away from his base. Because this is where his whole military infrastructure is. So where are you retreating to? You're retreating behind your landmarks. And that will give a new win condition to PuppyPaw. Sacred Site being capped, but B, I don't know, dog. I'm not sure Sacred Sites are it. As one of them's being decapped by the crossbowman at the back. So that win condition is going to be denied. Barracks being sieged into now. Shots coming out. Good hits from the mangonels. A lot of sprints built. B, if he loses this army, he's in deep water. He can maybe replace it, but can he replace it quick enough will be the question. Pushes back. Sprints being sniped out. B taking good trades right now. Repels his opponent away. Walls being built by PuppyPaw, but not quick enough. However, one mangonel is a little bit of a deterrent. B still pushing. Man-at-Arms holding the choke point. Need to be careful, but the golden hats are here. The elite crossbowmen come out, and now PuppyPaw having a clear edge here if he learns to micro these units away from their rally point. 18 damage per shot, plus the bonus 29 on a hit on these man-at-arms is going to sting. Villagers rushing past now. He's going for the keep drop. He didn't know about this expansion, but he's about to spot it by chance. And now he sees everything. He understands what's keeping B alive. It's this area down here. Shivs are out. He'll look to engage, probably with these villagers here. Instead, actually peeling all of them back. I think B is surrendering this over. He understands it's too exposed. He understands it's going to stretch him too thin. So he can't risk having his whole economy there. He needs to fall it back behind his TC. And on the way, the golden hats remain in the north, causing issues. B, 103 eco, somewhat recovering, 133 for PuppyPaw, and PuppyPaw starting to build up a healthy food lead. The trebs are out. B, trying to get through that keep finally. But PuppyPaw, quickly replacing his lost units, is at a military deficiency at the moment, but he has the quality instead of the quantity. These outposts are going to be denied. Springles are being frustrating, at least. A lot of them here to try and snipe down the man-at-arms. Those man-at-arms don't die quick. And PuppyPaw, he's got access to all the big boy tools now if he wants. Boot camp is there. Improved processing. Hasn't gone for any of them just yet because he is drained on the gold. And that's the limitation, actually. The gold's about to run out. PuppyPaw needs to make a move soon. He has no backup gold right now. This could bite him in the butt. B, he played this to perfection, going for the central gold vein first. Denying equity here means even if PuppyPaw works his ass off to breach here, there's nothing to gain in this area. Although he's going to go for the trees at the back. He drops a keep behind his opponent. So the remaining villages were never cleaned up. And weird play from B, as he could have shivved them down. Now, the good news, if you're a PuppyPaw fan, is that he doesn't need much gold for his primary composition. Just a few Springald to try and counter out the siege is really all he needs, and then it can mainly be spears and crossbows. However, these crossbows are dying quick. So many mangonels, now up to 5. Some of them even coming up from the siege workshops on the side here that were built by B. Needs to be careful. Takes good trades with crossbow and crossbow, but the mangonels really are the difference maker that he needs to be careful of. Has got the shutter trigger upgrades now. You can see it there, up to the 12 tower range. Meanwhile, these Springalds down to the baby 10. Means that PuppyPaw, he's got the quality over quantity again, where it matters most. In an Urbicid on Urbicid matchup, it really is about the siege. Oh my god, the man-at-arms are in! The spills as well. B out of position. A small contingent broke through. And that is a heavy hit. B, he has reserve gold, but he's going to be forced to spend it now. And there is next to no gold left on the map. Only this vein remains. Everything else has been depleted by both sides. Oh, that stings so much. PuppyPaw still replacing his units quicker. B is slowed down in that regard. Being doubled up in the military department is going to be a problem because you can see the man-at-arms with the little torches out. They're scared of the dark, but they ain't scared of mangonels, as they'll be able to toss torches under fire. That one's going to fall as well. A heavy investment again, just sunk for B. B not replacing quick enough. His military district being on the front, this has been his burden. He never built it up in the back again. Worried about wood despite the fact he had surplus wood over 2k in reserve. It turns out he shouldn't be afraid of the dark. He should be afraid of the puppy. Because this puppy's grown up. And this wolf has big claws, big fangs as well, as he is biting deep into B's lines. Culverin's in the field now. Really nowhere to run. B wasting so much time to get rid of this pointless keep. Those trebs could be sniped at any point as well, as the Culverins are starting to arrive. And meanwhile, the raid goes deeper. The man-at-arms have realized, oh wait, hold a sec, torches are really good at burning everything made of wood. We got rid of the mangonel. This lumber camp's made of wood. The whole tree line's made of wood. Burn it all, boys! B, I mean, he has to be running out of food quick. Like, he's massing on the berry bush line. How the trade's looking, actually. I don't think... Like, has he been trading that much? A little bit. I don't think too much, though. I think it's been a bit trade on both sides. He's mainly just surviving on berries, but the reason his food still looks good is because he's not building an army. That's the issue here. He's stuck in a rut right now. He can't get enough siege. He can't get enough units that will build that siege. Every single issue he has is compounded by the fact he lacks farmlands to get infinite food from. Meanwhile, PuppyPaw's base is booming with it, baby. He's set up everywhere. You can see he's extending all over the place. Wood and food is his gold. And that's what allows him to pay the war machine. Culverin sniping out more of the siege. As quickly as it's built, it's taken out. Even the man-at-arms. Turns out, if you try to swing a sword in front of a cannon, it tends to hurt, as a cannonball will hit you right in the face. Mago's problematic right now, just being sniped out. B, he hasn't called the GG yet, just yet. He has got reserves, but his reserve base is being exposed. You can see the wood race is on in the south side, and there's no pressure there. The problem is that B is running out of resources, and he's not using it optimally anymore. At this point, his military force is at 5. Meanwhile, PuppyPaw with a healthy 60 and still a bigger economy, as well as the tech lead. It means he's just in full cruise mode. I love this by PuppyPaw. He's not blowing up the buildings. He doesn't need to. All he needs is culverins and crossbows to kill anything that comes out of these buildings. And it means that everything in B's base has grinded to a halt. Look at his reserves right now. He wants to spend it, but he has no way of doing so. Because if he chooses to build in these structures, anything coming out instantly dies. In fact, I'm pretty sure the culverins are one-hitting the crossbows. Yeah, the culverins one-hit the crossbows, folks. So if PuppyPaw walked away right now, these culverins would still carry this game. That's how powerful this pint is for PuppyPaw. Like, having these culverins has changed everything. B cannot even contest him. He couldn't contest him once the shutter triggers came out, but it just guarantees it. And it's not often we get to see culverins look this dominant at this stage. Usually it's a longer drain, but they really are dictating what B can and cannot do. And right now, he can do nothing right. And with the movement on the House of Wisdom, it feels like the clock is ticking down fast for B. No new military infrastructure being built. Food is all but capped out. He's drained dry. Barely anyone working on the food. Wait, why has B got 100 people on wood? He's like, boys, pack it up. Get everything you can carry and meet me in the next map. Screw the food, screw the gold, grab every single piece of lumber, load it onto the caravan, and get ready to move out because we are going to need it in game number 3. He's got to be memeing, right? There's no reason to continue this on. I think right now, B, the royalty in the capital, they're just packing their luggage, They're checking that they've got the right flights. They're loading up the caravan with all that aforementioned wood, and they are going to get ready to shift on out because they are not going to win here. They're going to have to go to a third map. Wowee. Mr.1PuppyPaw. Not looking so 1PuppyPaw. Definitely looking big puppy right now. This was dominant out of him. Really big credit. The way he played this was actually phenomenal. Wait, was the score wrong? Did I mess up the score? Oh, God. My bad. Sorry about that. I just realized I used the wrong scene. Yeah, and I had the wrong score. I'm an idiot. Well, I predicted the future. Sorry, guys. I'm feeling a bit rough today, so my brain wasn't quite working. But honestly, what a play out of 1PuppyPaw. So well played. That critical detail is the first TC that goes down. He solidifies control in the center of the map, and I felt like from there on out, B unnecessarily put himself on the clock. That ram rush play cost him so much and gained him so little. You saw what he wanted to attempt as well, but 1PuppyPaw was very quick to react on both the south side and the east side. I think B really needed to make a move to the west side and maybe up his scouting, because I feel like his vision was lacking in that mid game, which lacked any information for him to exploit, right? Like, he was always playing towards the center. He was never really playing around the sides throughout that entire game. I think the first time we saw B try to raid the sides was around the 25-minute mark, and that's way too late here. He sticks a few lances in, but the palisades have been up for a long time by then. You really need to sniff out this third TC and find a way of exploiting him, but instead, he finds himself in this really wonky situation where, because he invests in multiple rams, he knows he's behind. His only calculated play is to rush in a castle, but the problem is that because 1PuppyPaw done such a great job of not rushing insta to match the castle, but instead keeping a maintained force of cheaper units, there's no kind of Zerg factor that can come out after the first few Mangonels are built. Instead, 1PuppyPaw juggles his opponent perfectly, and I have to give so much credit. Like the stutter stepping, the baiting of the shots from the Mangonels, like what really won this game for 1PuppyPaw, there are many small things we can highlight, but his micro was incredible. B barely found his way to value out of those initial few Mangonels. They missed so many shots. Those were not Mangonels, those were Stormtrooper Nals. I'll come up with a better one. Mago Stormtroopers, because they just couldn't hit anything. Like, honest to God, it's almost like whoever was manning the catapult was like this. Where am I firing, boys? Because every time 1PuppyPaw was just sidestepping it. And the impressive part is, compared to most players, he doesn't just sidestep it. He sidesteps it and then moves towards them, which was just incredible to watch time and time again. B just getting out-microed in this game, and 1PuppyPaw looking so damn dominant to force this game free. It's going to be Roos on Roos, and it involves B, the innovator of the boar. Let's see if 1PuppyPaw is ready for it, because I don't know about you guys, but I know for a fact that a boar beats a wolf. Really kind of unflattering for B, right? The battle of the wolf and the boar. It just makes B sound like he's really fat. He's actually not. He genuinely looks like he'd bench press me and throw me, which is no small feat because I'm not exactly the lightest person myself. But you know what? Let's focus on this game, because we were just here on Lepony, and 1PuppyPaw pulled it back. The Abbasid versus Abbasid matchup, he looked dominant for his TC booming. But TC boom is a little more funky with this Civ. You can do it in theory. It requires the right conditions, and I don't think those conditions are going to be given over to you because of the way that B plays the Roos right now. And I feel like it's almost like B was actually taunting us. He was like hinting that he was going to do this. Remember the amount of wood he was gathering last game? What Civ loves wood more than the Roos? And I can guarantee you this guy is going to love wood in this matchup because he's going to need it if he's looking to do that proxy base. So, for those that don't know what all this talk about the boar has been, we watched Vortex do it on the weekend in the Golden League. And we also watched, who else was it? Was it Viper done it, I believe? Two high-level players done it. I remember that much. They kept innovating, though. They kept oh, sorry, I think it's BC. BC done it. No, Marine Lord. There we go. I've gone through all of them. It had to be one. It was Marine Lord. So it's Vortex who done it with the proxy archery ranges next to the boar. And then Marine Lord innovated further and added in, like, wooden fortresses in his opponent's base. It was ridiculous to watch. But the guy, the originator, the lad who done this first is on your screen right now. B was the first person to do this boar strategy. The whole prospect of this is that you move out to the boar in the center with 8 villagers. You shiv it down. 8 is a good number to kill the boar, and it also gives you enough room to garrison them in a single wooden fortress. And also, because the generations on Lipany, typically you have a boar close enough to a wood line or a berry bush line for you to get double value in the hunting cabin. This detail is important. Not only because you have idle time out of your villagers running out to the boar, but also because hunting cabins for the roost cost 100 wood instead of 50. So you need to get that double investment, otherwise it's suboptimal in your early game economy. That being said, we are jumping the gun a bit. It's possible that B isn't going to do the strategy. I'm just highlighting it because it's been the non-stop thing he's been doing with practically any civ. This lad was even doing Barbican of Sun drops next to boars to secure them. Yes, you heard me right there. For gathering on maps like Dry Arabia. But this is definitely the map. Like, if he's going to do it on any map, Roost Lipany is the GOAT map for it. That's probably confusing. The GOAT map for the boar. But for the moment, everything's chill. We're just going to focus on the hunting side where, oh my god! All right, we should have been watching this. Everything is being denied. PuppyPaw, no! Talker of wolves, not willing to kill the puppies that he is also one of. So instead, B, almost like a preview of what's going to come, he says, this wolf dies today, but you die tomorrow. And the only thing Puppy has is 4 sheep. Look at his bounty, 70 compared to the 325. B already ready for his tech up. And this is a big deal. In a mirror matchup, one of the biggest issues you have is if your opponent beats you on the bounty gathering, they also unlock the Golden Gate. This issue compounds. It's not just the fact that he's getting additional gold and better gathering rates. The Golden Gate is arguably the best landmark in the feudal age with a huge ability to scale you and open up so many different strategies due to the efficient trades of 100 resource or 150 of another. That's a huge boom. It allows you to consider double TC without investing in a mining camp and idling villagers building it. It allows you to double down on aggression, going for more archery ranges or affording the wood necessary to get the wooden fortress online to then go into more military infrastructure. Everything that accelerates the roost at this stage of the game is about this. And it's enabled by this number here. 390 bounty. Meanwhile, PuppyPaw lucky to breach 100 here, up at 110 bounty. And even more snatched away by B. No way. This is just 4 scouts. 4 versus 3. Both of them went scout light. Understandably, PuppyPaw didn't have much left for him to gather. But B has yoinked everything. You know, we said what wins, 1B versus a wolf, but it turns out B cheated. He invited all of his cousins, his brothers, his mothers, everyone in the hive clearly got together because they have swarmed the map and made it the beautiful 420 as B is blazing it in this early game. Wow. And there it is, straight out. This might not be the boar, though. He could actually play onto the deer site, but there we go. Switch is over. Says, give me the goodies, baby. Because once he kills that boar, I think, yeah, he's still got 1 sheep left in base. He's going to crack the tier 3. He's going to crack the tier 3 at 5.5 minutes. And here we go. Scout baits in. Shivs out. Or rather, spears in this situation. And there is nothing PuppyPaw can do. The best thing you can hope for is sniping the boar, but that's so hard with the limited damage on the scout. 75 gold going the way of B. Can club 1 sheep to unlock the tier 3 with that 15% gathering rate. Meanwhile, poor little PuppyPaw, he's making the same play! Oh no! This is all in. This is all in right now. He needs to deny this. It's a peasant war. The serfdoms are at war. But the scout count is the difference. B with 7 in the field. There's nothing PuppyPaw can do. He's going to be forced to fight here. Everything is all in. Barely anyone working back at base. Military infrastructure slow to build. He's going to assault now, but the scouts surround him. He can't get out. It's a disaster. He can't get anywhere. Oh my God, no. I can't believe it. Out of all the ways I could have seen this game ending, I did not expect it to end with over half of PuppyPaw's economy rushing to the center. Too late and denied. They came here to hunt boars, but B came here to hunt villagers. And although he cannot eat them, he can devour them. And GG will be called. B, he wants nap time. He's not going to wait around. PuppyPaw will remain a puppy. The Thieves have not come through, and he cannot slay the bee.